Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're opening up a file that, at first glance, it looks like a collection of dad jokes and fantasy tropes just, thrown into a high-speed blender.
Yeah.
But if you look closer past all that surface-level silliness, there's something surprisingly heavy anchoring it all down.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking about Golem and the Gears, which is the 9th entry in Piers Anthony's huge Xanth series.
It is a fascinating case study because on the surface, you have a world made of puns. I mean, literally. But this specific story is, at its core, a psychological drama about a character made of garbage.
Right, wood, string, rag.
Yeah, and he's just desperately trying to justify his own existence.
We are focusing on Grundy Golem. And this isn't your typical chosen one narrative where some farm boy finds a magic sword. This is a story about the debris of the world trying to prove it deserves to take up space.
Exactly. And our mission here is to track that internal journey. We're going to look at how the author uses these ridiculous linguistic puzzles and, these bizarre creatures to explore some very real themes.
Like what?
Inferiority complexes, the trauma of grooming, and the difference between what we perceive versus what is actually real.
Before we get to Grundy, we have to ground everyone in the setting. We are in the magical land of Xanth. For someone who has maybe never read these books or, I don't know, hasn't picked one up since middle school, how do you even explain the physics of this place?
The shortest explanation is that in Xanth, linguistics override physics. Language is literal law.
Okay.
If you say someone is a nightmare in our world, that's just a bad dream. In Xanth, a nightmare physically creates itself.
As a horse.
As a female horse that travels by night and brings bad vibes, yeah.
So metaphors just manifest physically. If I say I'm feeling blue, I might turn into a blueberry.
Precisely. It is a land of aggressive literalism, and that makes it incredibly dangerous for the characters because a slip of the tongue isn't just embarrassing, it can summon a monster.
So you have trees that grow literal shoes.
Dragons that run on steam pressure. I mean, it's whimsical, but it's also a total minefield.
Into this world steps Grundy.
Let's look at his starting stats. He's a golem. He was built, not born. And he is tiny.
Hand-sized.
Yeah, the size of a human hand.
And that size is crucial. He was originally created to translate for other characters in the previous books. He was a tool, a device.
Right.
But now, through some previous plot mechanics, he has been given life. He is real in the biological sense, but he hasn't accepted it psychologically. He has this massive chip on his shoulder. He just feels insignificant.
He's got that short king energy, but completely without the confidence.
He's defensive. He lashes out. He feels like the world is constantly looking down on him, which, I mean, literally everyone is.
The source material highlights this inciting incident right at the start. It's called the Toad Incident. And honestly, it sounds pretty traumatic.
It is so humiliating. Grundy is wandering around. He's hungry. He's grumpy. He slides down a banister and lands at a patch of toadstools. Now, you have to remember the rules of Xanth.
Toadstools are literal stools for toads.
Exactly. So he crashes a toad party.
Right. And he gets into a shouting match with the toad. The toad calls him a clumsy oaf. And because Grundy is so insecure, he just cannot let it slide. He lashes out. He starts insulting the toad. And then suddenly, he's swarmed.
Oh, no.
He is nearly eaten by a giant toad.
It's a reality check. He's barely survived a run-in with an amphibian.
And it gets worse. He escapes the toads and tries to hide behind a hypnogourd.
Oh, like...
A hypnogourd. It's a vegetable that uses hypnotic patterns to lure prey in so it can eat them.
Okay.
Grundy is so desperate, he is actually willing to be eaten just to escape the toads. But the gourd spits him out.
Being rejected by a carnivorous vegetable has to be rock bottom.
It is the defining moment of his depression. The gourd rejects him because he's too small to be a satisfying meal.
Wow.
And that just reinforces his core fear. I am nothing. I am not even worth eating. He realizes that living without respect isn't really living, it's just existing. And that realization hurts more than the physical danger.
So he needs a win. He needs a quest. And conveniently, one just falls into his lap. We have Ivy, the sorceress. Her pet dragon, Stanley Steamer, is missing.
And Ivy is basically royalty in this world. She's a child, but she's immensely powerful. She's completely distraught.
But there's a complication, right? Her brother.
Her little brother, Dolph. He's a shapeshifter, only a toddler, and he wants to fly off to find the dragon himself. Ivy is terrified Dolph will get eaten because he doesn't know his limits yet.
So Grundy steps up. But let's be clear about his motivation here. Is he doing this because he loves the dragon? Or because he wants to save the kid?
It's a mix, but primarily it's his ego.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's doing it because he needs to prove he is capable. He sees an opportunity to be a big hero despite his small size. He volunteers to find Stanley Steamer to save Dolph from danger, sure, but mostly to save himself from obscurity. He wants to go from being a thing to being a person in the eyes of others.
He has a mission. Now he needs a team. And in Xanth, the first step of any quest is usually go ask the magician.
The good magician Humphrey. He's the oracle of this world. But Humphrey charges a service fee for answers, usually in the form of labor or solving a really difficult puzzle. Just getting into his castle is a gauntlet in itself.
This brings us to the first major test of Grundy's intellect, the antlion.
A literal hybrid. The front half is a lion, the back half is a giant ant. It's guarding the path to the magician. Now, Grundy can't fight this thing. One swipe and he's kindling.
Right.
But the antlion is bored. It challenges Grundy to a game.
The lines and boxes. I think most of us played this in elementary school on graph paper. You draw a grid of dots, take turns drawing a line.
Right, and if you close a box, you claim it and get another turn. Simple rules, but surprisingly deep strategy. The antlion is an expert. He backs Grundy into a corner. The game reaches a state where whoever moves next opens up a chain of boxes for the opponent to claim.
So it looks like Grundy is going to lose.
It looks that way. And if he loses, he gets eaten or just rejected and sent home, which for his psyche at this point might actually be worse.
So what does he do?
He pulls what the text calls the ploy of the proffered box.
Explain the mechanics of that. How does giving away a box help him win?
Well, in lines and boxes, usually you want to grab every box you can, but experienced players know that sometimes you have to sacrifice a box to force the opponent into making a bad move.
A sacrifice.
Exactly. Grundy deliberately draws a line that lets the antlion take one box.
The antlion takes the bait.
Of course. But by taking that single box, the antlion is then forced to draw the next line, which opens up the entire rest of the board for Grundy. It's a concept called control. Grundy loses a point to win the game.
That is a crucial beat in the story. It shows the reader that Grundy isn't just a smart mouth. He has actual tactical intelligence. He can outthink things that could literally crush him.
It earns him the audience with Humphrey, and the magician gives him the answer. Ride the monster under the bed to the ivory tower.
And this introduces probably my favorite character in the whole book, Snortimer, the monster under the bed.
It's such a brilliant concept. In Xanth, the dust bunnies under your bed eventually coalesce into a monster. Their biological imperative, their sole reason for existing, is to grab ankles.
That's it.
That's it. But Snortimer is an anomaly. He's bored of ankles. He wants more out of life.
He wants romance.
Which is just tragic. Bed monsters spontaneously generate from dust. There are no female bed monsters. They don't reproduce sexually.
So he's looking for something that can't exist.
He is pining for a mate that, biologically speaking, does not exist.
So you have a golem who feels fake because he was made of trash, and a monster searching for a love that isn't real. They are perfect partners.
They are mirrors of each other. Both are driven by a desire for something the world says they can't have. But there's a logistical nightmare for Snortimer joining the quest.
The light.
Right. He is a creature of darkness. Light is toxic to him. He dissolves.
So they can't just walk to the ivory tower during the day.
No. They have to bring the darkness with them. They recruit Bink, who is Ivy's grandfather and Chester Centaur.
Yeah.
And they physically carry Ivy's bed.
The whole bed.
The whole bed, with all the blankets and dust ruffles, across the landscape so Snortimer can scuttle underneath it during the day.
That is a ridiculous image. A centaur hauling a four-poster bed across a magical landscape with a tiny golem riding a monster underneath it.
That is the absurdity of Xanth. But it works. They set off. And this journey allows the author to throw them into all these different linguistic traps. The most famous one being the field of bulls and bears.
The stock market pun.
Yes. They stumble into a valley where literal bulls are charging up a hill and literal bears are charging down. It's a stampede.
And the party is in danger of being crushed by market volatility.
Pretty much. And Grundy saves them here, but not with a weapon. He uses jargon.
Right.
He realizes that since these animals represent the market, they must respond to market news. So he just starts screaming out financial gibberish. Sell Red Planet! Amalgamated Paradox is buying out computer.
And it works.
It causes panic. The bears freeze because they think the market is bottoming out. The bulls panic because they think they're missing a surge. It creates just enough chaos for the party to slip through.
It just reinforces that Grundy's power is his voice. He can manipulate reality by manipulating language.
And speaking of computer, That wasn't just a throwaway line by Grundy. That is the actual antagonist of the middle section of the book.
Right, they get lured into a cave.
Yes, a cave controlled by an evil, sentient machine. Computer.
This feels like a nod to the era the book was written in, the early 80s, the rise of the PC.
Oh, absolutely. And Computer is terrifying because he or it controls the reality within his cave via text commands. It's like an old text adventure game.
If Computer prints, the party is trapped in vines. Vines literally appear and trap them.
It's godlike power. How do you fight something that can edit reality in real time?
You have to beat it at its own logic game.
Exactly. Computer traps them in a contest. They have to enter a command to escape, and the machine tries to counter it. It's a rap battle of logic.
So they try to summon a door.
Computer edits the door to have man-eating plants. They try to use their passports because Bink remembers passports from the mundane world.
And what happens?
Computer creates literal red tape that binds them up.
Bureaucracy as a weapon.
Yeah.
That hits close to home.
It does. Finally, Bink realizes the machine is too literal. It cannot understand nuance. It just operates on these binary associations.
Okay.
So Bink types in that they find an egress. E-G-R-E-S-S.
Now, this is a classic P.T. Barnum reference, isn't it?
It is. Barnum used to put up signs saying this way to the egress to get people to leave his museum because they thought it was some kind of exotic animal.
And Computer falls for the same trick.
Completely. It parses the word egress and assumes it means a female egret, the bird.
Because actor becomes actress, tiger becomes tigress.
So logically, egret becomes egress. Machine logic. It summons a female bird, thinking the bird will attack them or at least be a nuisance. But egrets are harmless. While the machine is confused why the bird isn't killing them, the party simply walks through the egress, the exit.
They escape on a homonym.
They do. It's a victory of human flexibility over rigid machine logic. It highlights that being smart isn't just about computing power, it's about understanding context.
Once they are out of the cave, the tone shifts a little bit. They go underground beneath the gap chasm, and they find something almost archaeological.
The civilized voles. This is a fascinating bit of world building that often gets overlooked in discussions about the humor of Xanth. They find these tunnels filled with rusted metal claws.
Artificial claws.
Tools. The voles were rodents, but they developed this high-tech civilization centered around digging. They built machines to dig faster and deeper. And then they vanished.
They just disappeared.
Yeah. The party meets a ghost of a vole who confirms the civilization collapsed.
Why include this? It seems a bit dark for a pun book.
I think it serves to show that Xanth has a history. Civilizations rise and fall here. It adds a layer of melancholy and depth. We are walking through the ruins of a society that literally dug its own grave. It reminds you, the listener, that actions in this world can have permanent consequences.
And in these tunnels, they also find what they were looking for, sort of. The dragon.
Stanley Steamer. They were looking for Stanley, but they find Stella. She's the female counterpart guarding the gap.
And this is a key plot point. Grundy talks to her.
Right. Everyone else assumes dragons are just mindless monsters. But Grundy, because of his gift of tongues, remember, he can speak to anything. He actually communicates with her. And she's reasonable. She agrees to carry the bed for them.
This allows the adults, Bink and Chester, to go home. They hand the baton to Grundy.
It isolates the hero. Now it's just Grundy the Golem, Snortimer the monster, and a dragon. No powerful wizard to come save them. The safety net is gone.
And immediately, they run into a problem that raw power can't solve. The weather. Specifically, a cloud named Fracto.
Cumulofractonimbus. He is a sentient storm cloud, and he is the embodiment of narcissism. He just drifts around Xanth, ruining picnics because it makes him feel powerful. He thinks he's a king because he's, above everyone else.
And Grundy just cannot keep his mouth shut around bullies.
It's his trigger. He sees this pompous cloud, and he starts heckling it. He calls it a bag of wind.
Which is accurate.
But dangerous. Fracto gets offended. He decides to flood the chasm they are traveling in. He wants to drown them to teach them respect.
This leads to a solution that is pure Looney Tunes.
Oh, it is. The water is rising. They're going to drown. Snortimer dives to the bottom of the chasm and finds a giant plug, like a bathtub plug.
No way.
He pulls it, and the water just drains away.
Unbelievable.
It saves them, but it highlights the strange duality of Xanth. The danger drowning is very real and lethal. The solution, a drain plug, is completely cartoonish. Surviving in this world requires you to accept that absurdity is real. If you try to apply normal logic, you die. You have to think like the world does.
So they flush themselves out of the chasm and reach the coast. They need to cross the ocean to get to the ivory tower, but the ocean is guarded.
By the monster of the sea?
And here we get a really interesting deconstruction of myth.
We do. They expect a beast that devours women. That's the legend. Instead, they meet a giant, ugly sea creature who is a vegetarian.
A vegetarian.
He eats plankton.
So why the bad reputation?
He explains his side of the Andromeda and Perseus story. We all know the human version. Perseus saves Andromeda from the monster.
Right.
In the monster's version, he was the one trying to break Andromeda's chains to save her. Perseus just swooped in, attacked him unprovoked, and basically kidnapped the girl.
That is a fantastic twist. The hero was essentially a mugger on a flying horse.
History is written by the guy with the sword, right?
Yeah.
The monster is actually a gentle soul who views himself as a misunderstood protector. He agrees to take Grundy to the ivory tower, not to eat the damsel inside, but to liberate her from the Sea Hag.
Okay, let's talk about the ivory tower. This is the destination. It's a lighthouse on the Gold Coast, and inside is Rapunzel.
Rapunzel is the emotional anchor of this book. She has been raised in total isolation by Mother Sweetness. She thinks the world outside is deadly and that Mother Sweetness is her savior.
She's been locked down her whole life.
Exactly. And when Grundy meets her, something really shifts in the narrative. Rapunzel isn't just a human girl. She reveals she isn't fully human. She is part elf, specifically a bluebell elf.
And that gives her a specific magical ability.
She can shrink.
She can become Grundy's size.
Exactly. And this is pivotal. For the first time in his entire existence, Grundy isn't looking up at someone. He isn't a doll, a toy, or a mascot. She shrinks down, takes his hand, and they sit on a table together eye to eye.
That imagery is so important.
It's the validation he has been starving for. She treats him as a man, not a thing. It validates his soul. But it makes the danger so much worse because Grundy knows the truth about Mother Sweetness.
Mother Sweetness is the Sea Hag.
She is an immortal parasite. The Sea Hag maintains her immortality by raising perfect, healthy girls in isolation, keeping them pure and fit. Then, when her current body fails, she uses dark magic to transfer her consciousness into the girl.
It's grooming.
Yes.
Farming a human being.
It is horrific. Rapunzel isn't a daughter. She is livestock. She is a spare battery. But Rapunzel doesn't know this. She loves the hag. She's been brainwashed.
So when Grundy tries to warn her,
She gets angry. She thinks he is lying. It's the safety of the lie. It is so much easier to believe your cage is a sanctuary than to believe your mother figure is a butcher.
so when the hag returns, Grundy is in a bind. He can't convince Rapunzel with words. He has to force the hag to reveal herself,
The confrontation scene is so tense. Grundy is armed with a hat pin.
which is a sword for him.
A sword for him, yeah. He hides, and then he starts taunting the hag. He uses that smart mouth strategically. He knows the hag is vain and cruel. He insults her appearance, her magic, her plan. He goads her into a rage.
He needs her to lose control.
And under pressure, the mask slips. The hag snaps. She screams at Rapunzel. She admits she doesn't care about Rapunzel's feelings. She only cares about the body. She admits the truth.
That breaks the spell for Rapunzel.
It does. Seeing the monster beneath the mask shatters her indoctrination. But now they have to escape a sorceress in a tower with no doors.
Right. Snortimer's waiting outside the window.
Rapunzel throws her hair down to climb out. But the hag grabs a pair of shears.
If she cuts the hair, Rapunzel falls to her death.
And it's pure spite. The hag realizes she's lost the trust of the girl, so she decides, if I can't have the body, no one can. She goes for the kill.
But Grundy saves her here with logic again. He yells at the hag.
He appeals to her greed. He shouts, if you kill the body, you lose the prize. He reminds her that a dead Rapunzel is useless to her. The hag needs a living vessel.
The split second of hesitation allows Rapunzel to hit the ground.
But the hag is furious. She turns her rage on Grundy. She shakes the severed hair that Grundy is still holding on to.
And Grundy falls. It's a massive drop. He should die.
But Snortimer catches him. The bed monster comes through in the clutch.
So they are at the bottom of the tower. Rapunzel is free. But to get away, she has to make a physical sacrifice. Her hair is still tied to the window,
She cuts it.
the defining trait of Rapunzel.
It is a symbolic castration of her old identity. That hair was her cage. It was the mechanism of her entrapment. Cutting it is traumatic. She weeps. But it is the only way to be free. She severs the tie to the hag. She chooses freedom over beauty.
They scramble into a rowboat to escape. But the universe isn't done with them. The hag is casting spells from the tower.
And our old enemy, Fracto the Cloud, returns.
It's a boss rush finale.
Totally. Fracto sees them vulnerable in the water and starts brewing a storm. He wants revenge for the drain plug incident.
How does Grundy handle two villains at once?
He plays them against each other. He starts shouting at Fracto, betting him that he can't hit the hag on top of the tower. He questions the cloud's aim.
He weaponizes the cloud's ego.
Precisely. Fracto is so stupidly proud that he attacks the hag just to prove he can. The storm batters the tower, distracting the hag and buying the boat time to get to shore.
They wash up on the beach. They're exhausted. Snortimer is dying because he's been exposed to sunlight. And then the bugs come.
The nickelpedes.
I hate this part.
They are centipedes made of metal that seek out gold. The sand on the Gold Coast is literal gold dust, so these bugs are everywhere. And they have pincer claws that can snip through bone.
And Rapunzel is terrified of bugs. It's her phobia.
But Grundy's threatened. The bugs are swarming him. And this is Rapunzel's hero moment. She steps on a nickelpede.
Swish.
It sounds minor to us, but for a girl raised to be passive, to be sweetness, the act of killing a predator to save a friend is a massive reclaiming of agency. She becomes a protector. She realizes she isn't helpless.
And Grundy deals with the swarm using, you guessed it, a pun.
He finds a Nickelodeon.
For our younger listeners, a Nickelodeon was an early type of jukebox in movie theater you put a nickel in.
In Xanth, it is a living creature that eats nickels. Or in this case, nickelpedes. It plays music while it devours the swarm. It's a chaotic, musical end to the battle.
So the dust settles. Snortimer is comatose but alive. Rapunzel is short-haired and traumatized but free. And Grundy has a realization.
This is the heartbreaking part. Grundy looks at Rapunzel. She is beautiful, she is kind, she is single. But he realizes he cannot be with her.
Why not? She clearly likes him.
Because of what he is. He says, I can't afford to like her. He knows the pain of being a golem in a world of biology. And he sees Snortimer, a monster who wanted love and almost died for it. He realizes that some fantasies are just that, fantasies. He decides to protect his heart.
That is surprisingly mature. He accepts his reality.
But he gets something else. Rapunzel thanks him, she calls him brave, she squeezes him, she validates his personhood.
He didn't get the girl, but he got the self-respect.
And that is what the quest was actually about. He isn't debris anymore. He's the guy who outsmarted a computer, a cloud, and a sorceress. He matters. He has proven his worth to himself.
And they find out that the original objective, Stanley Steamer, is actually fine. He's just chilling with some nymphs.
The MacGuffin didn't matter. The dragon was just the excuse for the journey. The real journey was Grundy learning to like himself.
So when we close the book on Golem and the Gears, what is the big takeaway? Beyond the puns about jukeboxes eating bugs.
I think it's about the ivory tower as a mindset.
How so?
The ivory tower represents a constructed reality where your role is defined for you. Rapunzel was told, you are a helpless damsel. Grundy was told, you are a worthless golem. The sea monster was told, you are a villain.
And the cloud was told, you are a king.
Exactly. Everyone in this book is trapping themselves in a role. The story is about the messy, painful process of breaking out of that tower.
And realizing that the world outside is weird. It has vegetarian monsters and dangerous bureaucracy and stock market bears.
But it's real. And being real, even if you are made of wood and string, is better than being safe and fake in the tower. It's about accepting the messiness of authentic existence over the cleanliness of a lie.
That is a powerful thought. It makes you wonder, how many ivory towers are we living in right now? How many narratives about ourselves have we just accepted because they feel safe?
It is the ultimate question of identity. Are you who you are, or are you who you were told to be?
A question for you, listener, to chew on. If you were Rapunzel safe, fed, cared for, but living a lie, would you have trusted the smart-mouthed stranger at the window? Or would you have closed the shutters and gone back to sleep?
Freedom is scary. The tower is comfortable. It's a harder choice than we like to admit.
Indeed it is. Thank you for diving into the madness of Xanth with us. Watch out for hypnogords, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.